Greetings, sisters. Tiffanie Mackie here again with another Political Tip Tuesday. Today is the last day that you can register to vote to be eligible to vote during this election season. So first things first, you already know what I'm going to say. Please double, triple, quadruple check your voter registration, mvp.sos.ga.gov. Double check it. Even if you have to pause this video, go check your voter registration right now. Since today is the last day, I wanted to tell you a little bit about SB 202, which brings quite a few changes to the way we do our elections. I won't be able to squeeze it all into this video because it's a rather large bill, but I can at least give you some of the highlights because early voting starts next Monday. That's right, early voting begins October 17th and will run through November 4th. Now, SB 202, for those who are unfamiliar with it, is Senate Bill 202, also known as the Election Integrity Act in the state of Georgia. This is an omnibus bill, or as I like to affectionately call it, the kitchen sink bill. They took a lot of smaller bills and put it into one larger bill, and it was passed by the Georgia General Assembly, which is made up of the House of Representatives and the Georgia Senate. With this bill, there again are a lot of impacts to the way that we handle elections in the state of Georgia. Usually there are a plethora of drop boxes. You can see them outside of different locations and drop them off whenever is convenient for you. SB 202 unfortunately changed this. You heard me mention before that absentee ballot applications were open. They are starting to ship or mail those ballots out. So I hope you have already applied for your ballot if you plan to do so. If not, again, do that right now. You can do that on the My Voter page or on the Secretary of State's website. But those ballots are being sent out by counties because, again, early voting begins next week. Now, in addition to that, drop boxes have been limited to one per every 100,000 voters or one for every advanced voting location. I, for the most part, have not seen any county that has more than 10 drop box locations. So, for example, Fulton County has 7, DeKalb has 6. This is because when you look at the number of people on the voter registration rolls in those counties, they're likely to be somewhere around 600,000 or 700,000. And that is how that aligns with the number of Dropbox locations that they are legally permitted to have. These Dropbox locations can be found on your county website, not just for Fulton or DeKalb, but whichever county you reside in. Those locations and your early voting locations can be found on your county website. You can also visit any of those early voting locations within your county before Election Day. So during the early voting period, if your county has 10 early voting locations, be mindful to note what locations actually have a drop box in them if you are planning to vote via absentee ballot. Not all early voting locations in every county will have a drop box located at them. Some counties are marking the drop box locations with an asterisk or a special highlight. It really just depends on where you live. So be sure again to check your county to see one, where your advanced voting locations are or your early voting locations are, and then 2, which locations have a drop box. Now, also be mindful that these Dropbox locations are also only on the inside of the businesses they're located in. So, for example, if I have a Dropbox that's in the local library near my house, then I have to follow or get to that Dropbox within the business hours of that library. So if the library is only open 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, then I can only get to that Dropbox 9 to 5. This, of course, makes it a little bit harder for some members of our communities, so we have to, again, make a plan to vote. So the highlights for this one, make sure you double, triple, quadruple, whatever number you're at, check your voter registration. Today is the very last day. October 11th is the deadline to register to vote for this election season. So please go to My Voter page and double check your voter registration. And then once you do that, make a plan to vote. There are certain voter registrations that have been counted out or rejected for whatever reason. So if you recently registered to vote, make sure that it went through and make sure your status is marked active on my voter page. And then again, make your plan to vote, preferably early. The push is to vote early. Research your sample ballot and then pick a location that's convenient to your schedule and go vote early between October 17th and November 4th. If you're voting by absentee ballot, please make sure, if you have not already applied, get that application in and then submit your absentee ballot as quickly as possible in case of any curing needs. Again, that's where if you have to add an address or a signature or anything, they can get in touch with you in plenty of time and you can get that submitted to them. If you have any questions, please let us know. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. This has been your Political Tip Tuesday. I'll see you next week.